Hi, I'm attorney John Mangan. I've been practicing law specifically in the area of trusts and estates here in the state of Florida for approximately 15 years. And during that period, I've often gotten a lot of the same questions from clients. And specifically when it comes to probate, I get questions like, what's involved in the process? What are the steps? Well, as you may have already seen, we've been doing a multi-video step sequence all about the different parts of the probate process here in Florida. And today we are on our final step, which is all about closing the probate estate. So by this point, when we get to this stage, all of the money theoretically has already been distributed out of the estate, or if there's any remaining, it's relatively small amounts that are being held back to take care of any remaining expenses like paying taxes or other miscellaneous items. The main part of this process is filing a petition for discharge with the probate court. As part of that petition, we will need to list all of the compensation that the estate's personal representative and attorney have received throughout the process. And we will also need to list any amounts that have been paid out to accountants, appraisers, and a schedule of distributions for all of the money distributed out to the beneficiaries. Along with this, we must produce a formal accounting. So the accounting is basically a kind of a roadmap for all of the financial transactions that have occurred historically throughout the life of the estate. The starting point is what we list on the inventory, so the value of all the assets as of the date of the decedent's death. And then the end point is whatever we have left in the estate at the time that we are compiling the accounting. So obviously, especially if we have a lot of assets involved in the estate, putting together the accounting can be a lot of work. And typically we would involve an accountant to produce this. Now, it is possible to waive the requirement for an accounting, but that will only work if all of the beneficiaries, all of the interested parties in the estate have consented and given their waivers for that. So now that we have produced our final accounting and filed it with the court along with the petition for discharge, unless we have waivers from all of the interested parties, we must serve all of them with copies of the same. So the petition for discharge and the final accounting. And then they will have a period of time to review that, typically about 30 days. If they object to it, they'll have an opportunity to file an objection. But if we get to the end of that period and no objections have been filed, now we can move forward with closing the estate with the court. And that simply at that point is going to mean we submit a proposed order of discharge to the judge. And if the judge agrees, then he or she will sign it, and that will formally close the probate estate. Now, in terms of timing, one thing to be aware of is that we do have a requirement that the petition for discharge must be filed within 12 months after the personal representative has been appointed. It is possible to get an extension on that. Sometimes, especially for larger estates, if we have a lot of tax returns that need to be filed, it might take longer than 12 months. That's okay. We just need to ask the court for an extension and receive their permission should that be necessary. But that's really about it with the probate process. That is the final step. And once we have received that order of discharge that's been signed by the judge, we are finished. Everything should have been transferred out of the estate at that point, and the personal representative no longer has any liability. So our job is finished and the personal representative's job is finished, and hopefully everybody is happy. So this concludes our video series all about the probate process. If this is an issue that you have a question or a concern about, or unfortunately, if you've lost a loved one and this may be a process that you need to take a look at, please feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help.